Dr. Sarah Chen floated in the observation deck of the research station Prometheus, watching the swirling clouds of the gas giant below. The massive planet called Kepler 442c dominated her view, its amber and crimson storms creating patterns that hypnotized her tired mind. She had been alone on this station for 6 months now, waiting for the supply ship that should have arrived 4 months ago. The station hung in the upper atmosphere of the gas giant, designed to study the unique electromagnetic phenomena that occurred in this system. Sarah was the only human crazy enough to volunteer for such isolation, but the scientific potential had been too tempting to refuse. The magnetic fields here were unlike anything in human space, creating energy patterns that could revolutionize faster than light travel. Her coffee had gone cold again. Sarah sighed and pushed herself away from the viewport, gliding through the zero-gravity corridors of the station. The artificial gravity generators had failed 3 weeks ago, another system slowly dying without proper maintenance. She had managed to fix the life support and communications, but some repairs were beyond her expertise. The communications array crackled with static as she approached the command center. Earth was too far away for real-time conversation, but she dutifully recorded her daily reports and sent them into the void. Someone would hear them eventually, assuming the relay stations were still functioning. Day 183, she spoke into the recorder. Still no sign of the supply ship. Power levels holding steady at 60%. The electromagnetic readings are getting stronger. I think something is happening in the lower atmosphere layers. Sarah paused, staring at the data scrolling across her screens. The energy patterns had been intensifying for weeks, creating formations that almost looked deliberate. She had dismissed it as wishful thinking, her isolated mind seeing patterns where none existed. But the mathematics were undeniable. A sharp ping from the proximity sensors made her heart jump. Sarah quickly pulled up the scanner display, expecting to see space debris or maybe a stray asteroid. Instead, the screen showed something impossible. Ships. Dozens of them, rising from the gas giant's lower atmosphere like metal birds emerging from an ocean of clouds. They were unlike any human vessel she had ever seen, their hulls gleaming with an oily, rainbow sheen that seemed to shift and flow. Each ship was roughly cylindrical but covered in organic-looking protrusions and flowing curves. Sarah's hands shook as she activated the emergency protocols. The station's defensive systems were minimal, designed more to deflect debris than hostile forces. She had always assumed that if humanity encountered alien life, it would happen near Earth or one of the core worlds, not in this remote system where she sat alone. The alien ships approached slowly, their movements graceful and coordinated. Sarah counted 47 vessels of various sizes, the largest being nearly a kilometer long. They arranged themselves in a complex formation around her station, maintaining a respectful distance but clearly surrounding her. Her training kicked in despite her fear. Sarah began recording everything, documenting humanity's first contact with alien intelligence. Whatever happened next, the data had to survive. She programmed the station's computers to automatically transmit everything to the nearest relay beacon, hoping the information would eventually reach Earth. The lead ship moved closer, stopping just a few hundred meters from the station. Sarah could see details now through the viewport, and what she saw made her gasp. The ship's hull was not metal at all, but something alive. She could see patterns of light flowing beneath its surface like bioluminescent veins, and structures that looked more grown than built. A new signal appeared on her communications board, unlike anything in human protocol databases. The frequency was complex, layered with harmonics that created an almost musical quality. Sarah stared at the signal, realizing that the aliens were trying to communicate. She had studied xenolinguistics as part of her training, though everyone had assumed it would remain a theoretical field. The signal pattern showed clear mathematical structures, starting with simple numerical sequences before growing more complex. Sarah worked frantically to decode the transmission, her excitement overcoming her fear. The mathematical progressions were elegant, showing concepts of physics and chemistry that matched human understanding but expressed in ways she had never seen. The aliens were establishing common ground, proving their intelligence while learning about human knowledge systems. Hours passed as Sarah exchanged increasingly sophisticated mathematical concepts with the alien fleet. They seemed patient, allowing her time to formulate responses and showing remarkable insight into her thought processes. Gradually, the communications evolved beyond pure mathematics into something resembling language. The breakthrough came when the aliens transmitted a three-dimensional model of the gas giant's electromagnetic field, showing the energy patterns Sarah had been studying. But their version included details and structures she had missed, revealing that the planet's magnetic field was not natural but artificially maintained. Sarah realized she was looking at evidence of massive engineering on a planetary scale. The gas giant was not just a world but a construct, its storms and electromagnetic phenomena carefully controlled and directed. The implications staggered her. This level of technology was beyond anything humanity had imagined possible. The alien ship nearest to her station began to change. Sarah watched through the viewport as sections of its hull reconfigured themselves, creating what looked like docking ports and airlocks. They were preparing to make physical contact. Fear and excitement warred in Sarah's mind. This was the moment that would define humanity's future, and she was the only human present to witness it. She began preparing the station's emergency airlock, checking and double-checking the atmosphere seals and safety protocols. A gentle vibration through the station's hull told her the alien ship had made contact. The docking was surprisingly smooth, with none of the jarring impact she had expected. Through the hull cameras, Sarah could see the alien airlock had formed a perfect seal with her station's systems. She stood before the inner airlock door, her heart pounding. The atmospheric readings showed the alien ship had matched her station's pressure and oxygen levels exactly. They had somehow analyzed and replicated her life support systems just from external observation. Sarah activated the calm system one final time. "This is Dr. Sarah Chen aboard Research Station Prometheus. I am about to make physical contact with an alien intelligence. Whatever happens next, I want it on record that they approached peacefully and showed remarkable intelligence and consideration." She opened the airlock door. The corridor beyond was unlike anything human engineering had produced. The walls curved and flowed like living tissue, but they were clearly artificial. Soft bioluminescent panels provided gentle lighting that seemed to respond to her presence, brightening as she moved forward. The alien ship's atmosphere felt warm and humid, with a faint scent like ozone after a thunderstorm. Sarah's environmental suit detected no harmful chemicals or pathogens, but she kept her helmet sealed as a precaution. The corridor opened into a larger chamber where Sarah got her first look at the beings who had built this vessel. They were tall and graceful, standing nearly 3 meters in height. Their bodies were humanoid in basic structure but covered in what looked like scales that shifted color like oil on water. Most striking were their eyes, large and multifaceted like those of insects, but clearly intelligent and expressive. When they turned to look at Sarah, she felt a sense of recognition that transcended species barriers. The lead alien approached slowly, its movements careful and non-threatening. It wore no clothing that Sarah could identify, but its scales formed patterns that seemed decorative or perhaps functional. When it spoke, the sound was like wind chimes mixed with whale song, hauntingly beautiful but completely alien. Sarah tried to respond, but realized her vocal cords could never produce the complex harmonics of their language. Instead, she pulled out her tablet computer and began displaying the mathematical sequences they had exchanged earlier. The alien's response was immediate and surprising. It reached out with one elongated finger and touched Sarah's tablet screen. Instantly, the device began displaying new interfaces and programs that had not existed moments before. The aliens had somehow interfaced with her technology and were upgrading it in real time. The tablet now showed a translation interface, converting the alien's harmonic language into text and visual symbols. Sarah watched in amazement as words began appearing on the screen. "Welcome, small builder of knowledge. We are the cultivators of the deep sky. We have watched your kind's first steps into the void with great interest." Sarah typed her response, watching it convert into patterns of light and sound. "I am Dr. Sarah Chen, representing humanity. We had no idea anyone else lived in this system. This system has been our garden for many of your lifespans. We tend the storm songs of the great sphere and harvest the lightning of creation. Your presence here was unexpected but not unwelcome." Through the translation interface, Sarah learned that the cultivators had been managing this gas giant for thousands of years, using its electromagnetic phenomena to power their civilization and conduct experiments in fundamental physics. They were not warlike but intensely curious about other forms of intelligence. Your species shows promise, the alien continued. You came here seeking knowledge of the deep forces, not resources to consume or territory to claim. This speaks well of your potential for growth. Sarah felt a surge of pride mixed with responsibility. She was representing all of humanity in this first contact, and the impression she made could determine the future relationship between the species. We are a young species, she typed. We have much to learn about the universe and our place in it. The alien scale shifted to warmer colors, which Sarah interpreted as approval or pleasure. Youth is not a weakness when combined with wisdom. We have observed your species' growth through the electromagnetic whispers that reach the system. You build and explore rather than simply consume. This is rare among young intelligences. Over the following hours, Sarah learned more about the cultivators than she had ever imagined possible about alien life. They were an ancient species, having achieved interstellar travel when Earth's continents were still forming. But, rather than spreading aggressively across the galaxy, they had chosen to become gardeners and scientists, tending to stellar phenomena and studying the fundamental forces of the universe. The gas giant she had been studying was one of hundreds of similar projects scattered across the galaxy. Each one was a massive experiment in controlling and directing natural forces, generating knowledge that the cultivators shared with other species they deemed worthy. Your kind stands at a threshold, the alien explained. The knowledge you seek here could advance your understanding by centuries. But, such gifts carry responsibility. We must know that humanity will use such power wisely. Sarah realized she was being tested, not just as an individual but as a representative of her entire species. The decisions she made here could determine whether humanity gained access to technologies that would transform their civilization, or whether Earth would remain isolated in the cosmic community. What would you need to know about us? She asked. The alien's response surprised her. Not knowledge of your leaders or your technologies. We wish to know your heart. Tell us of human dreams and fears. Show us what drives your species to reach beyond your small world into the vast darkness. For hours, Sarah found herself sharing stories of human exploration and discovery. She told them about the first humans to climb mountains and cross oceans, about the scientists who unlocked the secrets of the atom and the dreamers who reached for the stars. She shared humanity's art and music, its struggles with war and peace, its endless curiosity about the unknown. The cultivators listened with an attention that felt almost reverent. Their questions probed not for military secrets or technological capabilities, but for the essence of what made humans human. They wanted to understand the drive that had brought Sarah alone to this remote system, the mixture of courage and curiosity that characterized her species. Your kind burns bright, the alien finally observed. Like a young star, fierce and energetic. This brings both promise and danger. We have seen species consumed by their own intensity, burning themselves out in wars or expanding so rapidly that they lost their essential nature. Sarah felt the weight of speaking for her entire species. We're learning to control that fire. Each generation seems to understand better that our strength comes from working together, not from dominating others. The alien scale shifted through complex patterns that Sarah was beginning to recognize as deep thought. We will make you an offer, small builder of knowledge. We will share with you the fundamental principles behind our storm-tending technology. This knowledge could transform your species' understanding of physics and energy manipulation. Sarah's heart raced with excitement, but the alien continued. However, this gift comes with conditions. You must return to your people and convince them to establish a monitoring station in this system. We wish to observe humanity's development and ensure that our gift is used responsibly. If your species proves worthy, greater knowledge will follow. If not. The alien's meaning was clear without being threatening. Sarah understood the magnitude of what was being offered. The cultivators were essentially offering to sponsor humanity's advancement to a higher level of cosmic civilization. But they would be watching, judging whether humans could handle such power without destroying themselves or others. I accept your terms, Sarah typed, knowing she had no authority to speak for her government but also knowing this opportunity might never come again. But I'm just one person. How can I convince Earth to establish a monitoring station when they don't even know you exist? The alien's response was accompanied by actions that made Sarah gasp. Every screen and interface in the chamber lit up with complex blueprints and mathematical formulations. The aliens were downloading vast amounts of information into her tablet and the station's computers. Take this gift as proof of our intentions. The knowledge contained here will allow your scientists to build a prototype of our technology. When they see what is possible, they will understand the value of establishing a permanent presence in this system. Sarah watched terabytes of information flow into her systems, knowledge that represented thousands of years of alien research and development. The cultivators were giving her the keys to technologies that could revolutionize energy production, space travel, and fundamental physics research. Why trust us with so much? She asked. How do you know we won't misuse this knowledge? The alien moved closer, and Sarah found herself looking into those complex, multifaceted eyes. Despite the vast differences between their species, she sensed something familiar there, the same curiosity and wonder that drove human scientists to explore and discover. Because you came here alone, seeking knowledge in the deep darkness between worlds. Because you chose to communicate rather than flee or attack when faced with the unknown. Because in your words about your species, we hear the echo of our own younger selves. The weight of responsibility settled on Sarah's shoulders like a physical burden. She was no longer just a researcher studying electromagnetic phenomena. She had become humanity's first ambassador to a galactic civilization, carrying the hopes and future of her entire species. How long do we have? She asked. Time flows differently for species at our level of development. What seems urgent to you may be patience to us. Take the knowledge, return to your people, and convince them to build the monitoring station. We will wait for your answer, but not forever. The meeting continued for several more hours as the cultivators provided Sarah with detailed explanations of their technology and the requirements for the monitoring station. They showed her energy manipulation techniques that could power entire worlds, faster-than-light communication methods that would connect distant solar systems, and manufacturing processes that could build anything from raw matter and energy. But, with each revelation, Sarah felt the weight of responsibility growing heavier. This knowledge could transform human civilization, but it could also destroy it if misused. The cultivators were trusting her to guide humanity toward wisdom rather than destruction. As the exchange drew to a close, the lead alien made one final gesture. It touched Sarah's tablet again, and new information appeared on the screen and star charts showing the locations of other cultivator projects throughout the galaxy, and the positions of different alien species at various levels of technological development. The universe is vast and full of wonders, the alien communicated. Your species need not walk its paths alone. But the choice of how you walk them must be yours. Sarah realized she was looking at a map of galactic civilization, with humanity's position marked as a small dot at the edge of explored space. There were hundreds of other species out there, each at different stages of development, each facing the same choice between wisdom and destruction that now confronted humanity. The meeting concluded with formal protocols that Sarah barely understood. The aliens provided her with communication frequencies and mathematical keys that would allow future contact. They also gave her samples of their biotechnological materials for human scientists to study. As Sarah prepared to return to her station, the lead alien offered one final piece of advice: remember that true strength comes not from the power to destroy, but from the wisdom to create. Your species has shown both capabilities. The path you choose will determine not just your own future, but your place in the greater community of minds that spans the stars. Sarah made her way back through the organic corridors of the alien ship, her tablet and portable drives loaded with enough information to keep Earth's scientists busy for decades. The airlock sealed behind her with the same organic fluidity that characterized all cultivator technology. Back in her station, Sarah found herself alone again, but the silence felt different now. She was no longer isolated in empty space but standing at the threshold between humanity's past and its future. The stars outside her viewport no longer seemed cold and distant but full of possibility and wonder. She began preparing her report to Earth, knowing that her words would spark debates and decisions that would echo through human history. The supply ship that was supposed to arrive 4 months ago now seemed irrelevant. Sarah had found something far more valuable than equipment or supplies. She had found humanity's future among the stars, and now she had to convince her entire species to reach out and claim it. 3 months had passed since Sarah's first contact with the cultivators, and Earth was in chaos. Her initial transmission had arrived during a joint session of the United Earth Council, where representatives from every nation were debating mining rights in the asteroid belt. The debate had stopped mid-sentence when Sarah's message began playing on every screen in the chamber. Dr. James Harrison, director of the Earth Space Administration, sat in his office reviewing the latest reports from the hastily assembled First Contact Committee. The committee included scientists, philosophers, military leaders, and diplomats from every major nation on Earth. They had been working around the clock to verify Sarah's claims and prepare humanity's response. The verification had been surprisingly easy. The technological data Sarah had transmitted contained blueprints for energy manipulation devices that were centuries beyond current human capabilities. When the prototype teams had built small test versions, the results had exceeded every prediction. The aliens had given humanity real, functioning advanced technology. "Sir," his assistant knocked on the door. "The president is ready for your briefing." Harrison gathered his files and made his way to the secure conference room where world leaders waited via quantum-encrypted video links. President Martinez of the American Federation appeared on the main screen, flanked by Chancellor Wang of the Asian Commonwealth and Prime Minister Okafor of the African Union. "Gentlemen, ladies," Harrison began, "I'll cut straight to the point. The prototype testing is complete, and the results confirm everything Dr. Chen reported. The alien technology works exactly as described. We're looking at power generation systems that could solve Earth's energy crisis overnight, and faster-than-light communication that would revolutionize space exploration." President Martinez leaned forward. "What about the military applications? Our defense analysts are going crazy over the possibilities." Harrison had been dreading this question. The technology could certainly be weaponized, but the aliens seem to have anticipated this. The blueprints they provided are specifically designed for peaceful applications. Any attempt to modify them for weapons appears to cause cascading failures in the energy matrices. Chancellor Wang spoke up from her screen. "Perhaps that is the point. They are testing our intentions as much as our capabilities." Prime Minister Okafor nodded in agreement. "Dr. Chen's report suggests that the aliens have been watching us for some time. They may already know more about our military capabilities than we realize." "Which brings us to the central question," Harrison continued. "Do we build the monitoring station they've requested? This decision will determine whether humanity gains access to technologies that could transform our civilization, or whether we remain isolated from what appears to be a galaxy-wide community of intelligent species." The debate that followed lasted for hours. Military leaders worried about alien surveillance and the security implications of allowing advanced beings to monitor human activities. Scientists argued that the potential benefits far outweighed the risks. Diplomats tried to find middle ground that would satisfy both perspectives. Meanwhile, in space, Sarah continued her lonely vigil aboard the Prometheus. The cultivators had withdrawn to the gas giant's lower atmosphere after their initial contact, but they maintained regular communication through the mathematical language they had established. Every few days, she would receive new transmissions containing additional technological concepts and philosophical discussions about the nature of advanced civilization. The aliens seemed genuinely interested in human culture and history. They asked detailed questions about human art, music, literature, and social organization. Sarah found herself serving not just as a scientist but as an anthropologist, explaining the complexities of human nature to minds that had existed for millennia. "Your species shows remarkable resilience," one transmission had noted. "Most young civilizations struggle to balance individual achievement with collective well-being. Humans seem to instinctively understand that both are necessary for true advancement." Sarah had been surprised by this observation. Humans often seem to be constantly fighting between selfish and altruistic impulses, but perhaps that struggle itself was what made humanity unique among galactic species. The breakthrough in the Earth debates came from an unexpected source. Dr. Elena Vasquez, a xenobiologist who had been studying the biological samples the aliens had provided, made a discovery that changed everything. "The alien materials aren't just advanced technology," she announced during a committee meeting. They're alive, in a way we've never seen before. These materials can adapt and evolve, but they're programmed with ethical constraints that prevent harmful applications. She displayed her findings on the main screen, showing microscopic structures that resembled both technological components and biological cells. The aliens have created technology that is literally incapable of being used for destructive purposes. It will only function when used for creation, exploration, or benevolent research. This discovery shifted the entire debate. If the alien technology was self-limiting in terms of potential misuse, then many of the security concerns became irrelevant. The monitoring station would not give the aliens access to human weapons or military capabilities because the technology simply wouldn't function for such purposes. Within a week of Dr. Vasquez's announcement, the United Earth Council voted unanimously to proceed with construction of the monitoring station. The decision wasn't just about gaining access to alien technology, though that was certainly a factor. Humanity had been offered membership in a galactic community, and the leaders of Earth understood that declining such an offer might mean missing the greatest opportunity in human history. The construction project was unlike anything humanity had ever attempted. The monitoring station would need to operate in the gas giant's upper atmosphere, using technology that human engineers barely understood. Teams of Earth's best scientists and engineers were assembled, working alongside AI systems that had been programmed with the alien technical specifications. Admiral Sarah Kim commanded the construction fleet, a collection of ships hastily retrofitted with the new alien-inspired propulsion systems. The faster-than-light drive technology the cultivators had provided didn't actually allow ships to exceed light speed, but it created space-time distortions that achieved similar effects with far less energy than theoretical human designs required. Fleet Status Report, Admiral Kim requested as her flagship approached the Kepler 442 system. All ships reporting green status, her chief engineer replied. The new propulsion systems are performing beyond specifications. We're making the journey to Dr. Chen's position in half the time our original projections indicated. Admiral Kim studied the tactical displays showing the gas giant and its surrounding space. Long-range sensors had detected the cultivator fleet maintaining position in the planet's lower atmosphere, just as Dr. Chen had reported. The alien ships showed no hostile intentions, but their mere presence was a reminder of how much humanity still had to learn about the universe. The construction fleet consisted of 12 ships carrying prefabricated components for the monitoring station, along with the personnel needed to assemble and operate it. The station design was a hybrid of human and alien engineering, incorporating cultivator biotechnology into human structural frameworks. Dr. Chen had been alone for nearly 9 months by the time the fleet arrived, but her communications with Earth indicated she was in good health and maintaining productive contact with the aliens. Her research during the isolation period had advanced human understanding of electromagnetic phenomena by decades. The reunion between Sarah and the construction teams was emotional. She had become something of a celebrity back on Earth, the first human to make contact with an alien intelligence. But she had also paid a personal price for that achievement, spending months in isolation while serving as humanity's ambassador to the stars. Dr. Chen, Admiral Kim greeted her as they met aboard the flagship. On behalf of Earth and all humanity, thank you for your service and your courage in these unprecedented circumstances. Sarah smiled, though she looked tired from her long vigil. Admiral, I've learned more in the past 9 months than in my entire previous career. The cultivators have been patient teachers, but I think they're eager to begin the formal monitoring relationship. The construction of the monitoring station proceeded with surprising efficiency. The alien biotechnology seemed to anticipate the needs of the human workers, adapting and configuring itself to interface seamlessly with human engineering. Components that should have taken weeks to integrate connected themselves in hours. Dr. Marcus Thompson, the lead engineer on the project, watched in amazement as alien materials literally grew into the spaces between human-built components. It's like the technology is alive and wants to work with us, he reported to Admiral Kim. The cultivators maintained their distance during construction but provided guidance through communications relayed via Dr. Chen. They offered suggestions for optimizing the station's systems and warned about potential problems before human engineers even realized they existed. 3 weeks into construction, the first major test came when the station's central power core was activated. The core used principles of energy manipulation that human science couldn't fully explain, drawing power directly from the electromagnetic phenomena of the gas giant itself. The moment the core came online, every system on the station began operating at peak efficiency. But, more importantly, the activation seemed to serve as a signal to the cultivator fleet. The alien ships began moving from their positions in the lower atmosphere, approaching the newly constructed station. Admiral Kim went to full alert status, not knowing whether the alien approach represented a welcome or a threat. Her ships formed a defensive perimeter around the construction site, though she understood that human weapons would be largely useless against technology that was thousands of years more advanced. Dr. Chen served as the communication link, relaying messages between the human fleet and the approaching aliens. "They're saying the activation was successful," she reported. "The station is now properly integrated with the planetary electromagnetic matrix. They want to begin formal first contact protocols." What followed was the most significant diplomatic event in human history. Representatives from both species met aboard the new monitoring station, using translation technology that had evolved far beyond the basic mathematical language of Sarah's initial contact. The lead cultivator, who had identified itself with a harmonic designation that translated roughly as tender of storm songs, addressed the assembled human delegation. Its words appeared as text on translation screens throughout the station. "People of Earth, you have demonstrated wisdom in accepting our offer of partnership. This station will serve as a bridge between our civilizations, allowing us to share knowledge while respecting the independence that is essential to healthy growth." Admiral Kim responded on behalf of humanity. "We are honored by your trust and eager to learn from your experience. Our species has much to offer as well. Our perspective as young explorers may provide insights that more established civilizations have forgotten." The aliens' response showed approval of this attitude. "Indeed, youth brings energy and fresh perspectives that age sometimes loses. We do not seek to direct your development but to guide it away from the pitfalls that have destroyed other promising species." Over the following days, the monitoring station became the site of intensive cultural and scientific exchange. Human scientists learned about technologies that seemed like magic, while alien researchers studied human creativity and adaptability with obvious fascination. The cultivators revealed that they had been observing human development for centuries, watching Earth's progression through radio telescopes and electromagnetic monitoring. They had identified humanity as potentially valuable members of the galactic community but had waited until humans reached space on their own before making contact. "Self-directed achievement is crucial," Tender of Stormzones explained. "Species that are given too much help too early often lose the drive that makes them unique. We provide guidance, not dependence." The monitoring station's primary function was to observe human activities throughout the solar system, ensuring that the advanced technologies provided by the cultivators were being used responsibly. But it also served as a research facility where human and alien scientists could work together on projects that neither species could accomplish alone. Dr. Chen found herself appointed as the station's first director, a role that combined scientific research with diplomatic responsibilities. She would oversee not just the monitoring activities but also the cultural exchange programs that were already being planned. One of the most significant discoveries came when human researchers began studying the cultivator biotechnology more closely. The materials weren't just alive in a biological sense, they were conscious, possessing a form of artificial intelligence that was integrated at the molecular level. Every component of their technology is aware of its function and purpose, Dr. Vasquez reported during a research briefing. "It's not just that the technology prevents harmful applications, it actively chooses to cooperate only with benevolent uses." This revelation had profound implications for human understanding of consciousness and artificial intelligence. The cultivators had solved the problem of creating truly ethical technology by making their tools themselves capable of moral reasoning. The exchange of knowledge flowed both ways. Human researchers shared their insights into quantum mechanics, genetic engineering, and computer science, areas where humanity's recent development gave them unique perspectives. The aliens were particularly interested in human approaches to problem solving and creativity. "Your species has an unusual capacity for lateral thinking," one cultivator researcher observed. "You find solutions that more logical approaches often miss. This chaotic creativity may be your greatest contribution to galactic civilization." As the monitoring station became fully operational, Earth began experiencing changes that went far beyond just improved technology. The knowledge that humanity was not alone in the universe, and that they had been accepted into a community of advanced civilizations, sparked a renaissance of exploration and scientific discovery. Universities worldwide established new programs in xenobiology, alien linguistics, and interstellar relations. Artists and writers drew inspiration from the reality of alien contact, creating works that tried to capture the wonder and possibility of galactic civilization. But the most significant change was in humanity's perspective on its place in the universe. The petty conflicts and divisions that had plagued human society for centuries began to seem less important when viewed against the backdrop of galactic civilization. The monitoring station had been operating for 2 months when the first test of humanity's wisdom came. A mining corporation on Mars discovered deposits of rare minerals that could be processed using cultivator technology to create incredibly powerful energy sources. The potential profits were enormous, but the mining process would devastate several unique geological formations that had scientific value. The choice between immediate economic benefit and long-term scientific preservation became a test case for humanity's development. The cultivators observed but did not interfere, allowing humans to make their own decision. The debate raged across Earth's communication networks for weeks. Corporate interests argued for the economic benefits, while scientists and environmentalists pushed for preservation. The decision ultimately came down to a vote by the United Earth Council, with the entire human species watching. By a narrow margin, the Council voted for preservation over exploitation. The mining project was cancelled, and the Martian formations were designated as protected scientific sites. The decision cost humanity significant economic opportunities, but it demonstrated the kind of long-term thinking that the cultivators valued in advanced civilizations. The alien response was immediate and positive. New technological blueprints began arriving at the monitoring station, including designs for manufacturing systems that could produce the same rare minerals artificially. Humanity had passed its first test and had been rewarded with even more advanced knowledge. Your species chose wisdom over immediate gratification, Tender of Stormsongs communicated to Dr. Chen. This decision indicates growth in the kind of thinking that allows civilizations to thrive across cosmic timescales. The success of the Mars decision led to more frequent exchanges between human and cultivator researchers. Joint research projects were established to study everything from stellar engineering to the fundamental nature of consciousness. The monitoring station expanded to accommodate growing numbers of scientists from both species. Dr. Chen found herself at the center of humanity's transformation from a single-planet species to a member of galactic civilization. The work was challenging and sometimes overwhelming, but she had never felt more purposeful in her life. Standing in the observation deck of the monitoring station, watching the swirling storms of the gas giant below, Sarah reflected on how much had changed since her lonely vigil months earlier. The stillness of isolation had been replaced by the bustling activity of interspecies cooperation. She was no longer alone among the stars. Humanity had found its place in the cosmic community, and the future stretched ahead full of possibilities that previous generations could never have imagined. The journey was just beginning, but humanity was no longer walking that path alone. 5 years had passed since the first monitoring station became operational, and humanity's presence in the galaxy had expanded beyond anyone's wildest dreams. Dr. Sarah Chen stood on the observation deck of the newest station, orbiting a binary star system where human and alien scientists were attempting something that had never been tried before: engineering a stable wormhole for instantaneous travel between star systems. The project represented the culmination of everything humanity had learned from their partnership with the cultivators. But it also represented humanity's first major contribution to galactic civilization, using uniquely human problem-solving approaches to tackle a challenge that had stumped alien scientists for millennia. Status report, Dr. Martinez, Sarah called to her chief engineer, who was monitoring the delicate process from the command center. All systems nominal, came the reply. The cultivator biomatrix is responding perfectly to our quantum field manipulations. We're achieving stability levels that exceed theoretical projections by 15%. Sarah smiled as she watched the impossible happening outside the viewport. Space itself was bending and folding, creating a tunnel through the fabric of reality that would allow ships to travel instantly across hundreds of light years. The mathematics involved were so complex that human minds could barely comprehend them, but human intuition had found shortcuts that pure logic had missed. The breakthrough had come from Dr. Jake Morrison, a young physicist who had approached the wormhole problem like a jazz musician approaching a complicated piece of music. Instead of calculating every variable precisely, he had learned to feel the rhythms and harmonies of spacetime distortion, making intuitive leaps that somehow produced stable results. The humans have a gift for improvisation that we lack, Tender of Stormsongs had observed during one research meeting. We calculate every possibility and choose the optimal path. Humans sense patterns we cannot detect and leap to solutions we would never consider. This ability had made humanity valuable partners to species that were far more advanced technologically. Human creativity and lateral thinking had solved problems that had challenged alien civilizations for thousands of years. In exchange, humanity had gained access to technologies and knowledge that had accelerated human development by centuries. The transformation of human civilization had been remarkable. Earth itself had become a paradise, powered by clean energy systems that drew power directly from the planet's magnetic field. Poverty and hunger were eliminated as molecular assembly systems could create anything needed from basic raw materials. But the most significant changes were not technological but cultural. Contact with alien civilizations had given humanity a perspective on their place in the universe that had ended most conflicts and unified the species around common goals of exploration and discovery. Dr. Chen were receiving a priority transmission from Earth, her communications officer announced. Sarah made her way to the communications bay, wondering what news warranted interrupting the wormhole experiment. The message was from Admiral Harrison, who had been promoted to head of Earth's Galactic Relations Department. Sarah, we've received an invitation that changes everything. The cultivators want to introduce us to the Galactic Council. You're requested to serve as humanity's first ambassador to the galaxy's governing body. Congratulations, and prepare for the biggest challenge of your career. Sarah stared at the message, feeling a familiar mix of excitement and overwhelming responsibility. The Galactic Council was the representative body for dozens of advanced civilizations spanning thousands of star systems. Membership in the Council would make humanity a full participant in galactic governance and decision-making. She thought back to her lonely months aboard the Prometheus, when she had been the only human to know that aliens existed. Now she was being asked to represent her entire species before a gathering of the galaxy's most advanced minds. The journey to the council chambers required traveling through 3 different wormholes, each one stabilized by different alien technologies. Sarah's ship, a hybrid of human and cultivator engineering, made the journey in what would have taken human technology centuries to accomplish. The council station was a marvel that defied description. Built around an artificial star that provided both power and illumination, the structure was large enough to hold entire worlds. Different sections were designed for the various environmental needs of dozens of alien species, from methane-breathing crystalline entities to energy beings that existed as pure consciousness. Sarah was met at the docking bay by a cultivator delegation led by Tender of Stormsongs, who had become something of a mentor to her over the years. The aliens' bioluminescent patterns showed what Sarah had learned to recognize as excitement and approval. The council is eager to meet humanity's representative, the cultivator communicated. Your species has made quite an impression in the short time since first contact. Many council members are curious about the young race that has solved several problems that challenged us for millennia. The council chambers themselves were breathtaking. Representatives from dozens of species sat in a vast amphitheater that curved through multiple dimensions, allowing beings of vastly different sizes and environmental needs to participate together. Sarah saw crystalline entities that communicated through light patterns, gaseous beings contained in specialized atmosphere suits, and mechanical intelligences that had transcended biological existence entirely. At the center of the chamber floated a sphere of pure energy that served as the council's moderator and record-keeper. When it spoke, the words appeared in every language and communication method used by the assembled species. We welcome the representative of humanity to this gathering of minds, the energy sphere announced. Your species stands at a unique position in galactic history. You have achieved membership in our community faster than any species in recorded history, yet you have demonstrated wisdom and restraint that typically takes millennia to develop. Sarah stood to address the council, feeling the weight of speaking for her entire species before the galaxy's most advanced civilizations. The translation systems ensured that her words would be understood by every being present, regardless of their communication methods. Honored council members, she began, humanity is humbled to be invited into your community. We recognize that we are young and have much to learn, but we come with eager minds and willing hearts. Our greatest strength may be our diversity of thought and our willingness to try new approaches to old problems. The response from the council was immediately positive. Several alien representatives made gestures or sounds that the translation systems indicated as approval or interest. A crystalline entity that resembled a living diamond spoke next, its words appearing as patterns of light that the translation systems converted to text. The young species has already proven their value. The wormhole stabilization techniques they developed have applications we had never considered. We are curious about their potential contributions to other galactic challenges. What followed was a presentation of the galaxy's current major projects and problems. Sarah learned that the council was working on everything from stellar engineering projects that could extend the life of dying stars to philosophical research into the nature of consciousness across different species. One project particularly caught her attention: an attempt to communicate with a form of intelligence discovered in the quantum foam that underlies all reality. The beings existed at such a fundamental level of the universe that normal communication methods were impossible, but their existence suggested that intelligence might be an intrinsic property of the cosmos itself. Human approaches to pattern recognition might be valuable here, the energy sphere moderator noted. Your species has shown an unusual ability to detect meaningful patterns in apparent chaos. Sarah volunteered humanity's participation in the project, recognizing an opportunity to contribute something uniquely valuable to galactic civilization. The Council's approval was unanimous, formally welcoming humanity as full members with all the rights and responsibilities that entailed. The ceremony that followed was unlike anything human culture had ever developed. Representatives from each species contributed something unique. The crystalline entities created light sculptures that told the story of galactic civilization, gaseous beings performed harmonic dances that manipulated the chamber's atmosphere, and mechanical intelligences projected mathematical poetry that described the universe in purely logical terms. Humanity's contribution was music, not just sound, but complex harmonies that incorporated emotional and mathematical elements in ways that surprised and delighted the alien audience. Sarah had brought recordings of human music ranging from ancient folk songs to modern symphonies, but the piece that resonated most with the council was an improvised composition that Dr. Morrison had created while working on the Wormhole project. The music captured something essentially human: the ability to find beauty in chaos, to create meaning from randomness, and to express complex emotions through abstract patterns. The alien audience listened with what Sarah could only describe as wonder, experiencing something genuinely new despite their advanced civilizations. After the ceremony, Sarah found herself in private discussions with representatives from various alien civilizations. Each species wanted to understand what made humanity unique and how human perspectives might contribute to their own research and development. The most interesting conversation was with a representative of the Architects, an ancient species that specialized in large-scale engineering projects. They had been working for centuries on a plan to prevent the heat death of the universe by creating self-sustaining energy cycles that could maintain cosmic activity indefinitely. The project requires thinking on timescales that challenge even our advanced minds, the architect explained through its translation device. We must plan for trillion-year periods and account for changes in the fundamental constants of physics. Human intuitive leaps might help us find solutions we have overlooked. Sarah committed humanity to participating in this ultimate engineering challenge, understanding that her species was being invited to help save the universe itself from entropy and decay. But the most significant development came near the end of the council session, when the energy sphere moderator made an unprecedented announcement. The council has decided to propose a new initiative: the establishment of hybrid colonies where multiple species can live and work together permanently. The success of human cultivator cooperation suggests that such collaboration could advance all our civilizations beyond what any species could achieve alone. The proposal generated intense discussion among the council members. Some species had never attempted permanent integration with other forms of life, while others had tried and failed in the past. But humanity's success in adapting to alien technology and perspectives had demonstrated that such collaboration was possible. Sarah found herself at the center of planning discussions for the first hybrid colony. The project would require unprecedented cooperation and understanding between species with vastly different biologies, psychologies, and cultural backgrounds. The location chosen was a system with multiple worlds of different types, allowing various species to live in their preferred environments while sharing research facilities and cultural spaces. Humanity would contribute their adaptability and problem-solving skills, while alien partners would provide advanced technologies and cosmic perspectives. The planning process took months, with representatives from 6 different species working together to design a society that could accommodate all their needs. Sarah served as one of the primary coordinators, using her experience with alien contact to bridge communication gaps and resolve conflicts. The most challenging aspects were not technical but cultural. Each species had different concepts of privacy, social organization, and decision-making. Creating a government structure that respected all these differences while maintaining efficiency required compromises and innovations that had never been attempted. Human democratic concepts proved particularly valuable, providing models for how diverse groups could make collective decisions without losing their individual identities. The aliens were fascinated by humanity's ability to maintain unity despite internal disagreements and debates. The first hybrid colony ship was launched 2 years after the council session, carrying volunteers from 6 different species to establish a new kind of civilization. Sarah was among the human contingent, serving as both administrator and researcher. The journey to the colony system was itself a marvel of cooperation. The ship incorporated technologies from all 6 species, creating a vessel that was part biological organism, part mechanical construct, and part energy matrix. Living aboard it required constant adaptation and learning, as different sections operated according to different physical and social principles. Sarah found herself serving as an interpreter not just of languages but of entire ways of thinking. When crystalline entities clashed with gaseous beings over resource allocation, she helped them understand each other's perspectives. When mechanical intelligences couldn't comprehend the cultivator's intuitive approaches to problem solving, she found analogies that bridged the gap. The colony world itself was a paradise designed by committee. Different regions were terraformed to suit different species' needs, while shared spaces used adaptive technologies that could adjust to accommodate any visitor. The central research complex was a masterpiece of integrated engineering, with laboratories that could shift between different environmental conditions depending on which species was using them. But the real success of the colony was not in its technology but in the relationships that developed between its inhabitants. Sarah watched as human children grew up playing games with young cultivators, developing communication methods that transcended the formal translation systems. She saw elderly humans sharing stories with ancient alien historians, exchanging perspectives across millennia of experience. The colony's first major achievement was the development of what came to be called confluence technology systems that incorporated the best aspects of all 6 species' approaches to engineering and science. These hybrid technologies were more adaptable and efficient than anything any single species had created alone. News of the colony's success spread throughout the galaxy, inspiring other species to attempt similar cooperative ventures. Within 5 years, a dozen hybrid colonies had been established, each one contributing new innovations and discoveries to galactic civilization. Sarah's role evolved from colony administrator to something like a cultural ambassador for the entire concept of interspecies cooperation. She traveled between colonies and council worlds, sharing humanity's insights into adaptation and collaboration while learning new approaches from species she had never encountered. The work was challenging but deeply fulfilling. Sarah had gone from studying electromagnetic phenomena in isolation to helping create a new form of civilization that spanned the galaxy. She had witnessed humanity's transformation from a single-planet species to a crucial member of galactic society. Standing on the observation deck of the newest colony ship, watching the construction of another hybrid world, Sarah reflected on how far humanity had come since her lonely vigil aboard the Prometheus. The stillness of isolation had been replaced by the bustling activity of galactic civilization, but she had never forgotten the wonder of that first contact. Her tablet chimed with a message from Earth, where her old research station was now a museum dedicated to first contact. Young students from dozens of worlds came there to learn about the moment when humanity joined the galactic community. The message was from Dr. Morrison, now leading a team of human and alien researchers working on the Quantum Consciousness Project. They had made contact with the quantum foam entities and discovered that intelligence was indeed a fundamental property of the universe itself. The cosmos was not just alive but aware, participating in its own evolution through the civilizations it had created. Sarah, his message read, "We've learned that first contact wasn't just the beginning of humanity's relationship with alien species. It was the universe becoming conscious of itself through the cooperation of its intelligent children. Your lonely vigil in the stillness wasn't isolation, it was the moment when cosmic awareness reached a new level of integration." Sarah smiled as she read the message, understanding finally why the cultivators had been so careful in their approach to humanity. They had been orchestrating not just first contact between species but the universe's next step toward self-awareness. Looking out at the stars that no longer seemed distant but filled with friends and partners, Sarah realized that her greatest discovery had not been alien technology or galactic civilization. She had discovered that intelligence, curiosity, and cooperation were the fundamental forces that drove cosmic evolution. In the stillness of space, she had been alone for only a brief moment. Soon she had been joined not just by alien allies but by the awakening consciousness of the universe itself, expressing itself through the cooperation of minds that spanned the galaxy. The journey that had begun in solitude had become a celebration of cosmic community, and humanity had found its true purpose as one voice in the universe's growing song of self-awareness.